Next, I want to introduce you to two very simple breathing basics, basic principles that oftentimes people are not taught. And I find it fascinating because breathing is a thing that you do all day long, and you can go weeks and months without food, you can go days without water, but you can't go more than just minutes without air, right? So breathing is very important for us to be alive, and most people are never taught how to breathe. So the first breathing principle is that nostril breathing is much healthier than mouth breathing. So nature has equipped us with a nose for breathing, but it's so important that we also have a backup called our mouth. Most people don't understand that we're not supposed to be breathing through our mouth unless our nose is congested or unless you're running and you need to get shallower breath just to be able to keep running. Nostril breathing is much better for your health than mouth breathing for a few reasons. One is that when we breathe through our nose, the hair in our nose actually warms and cleans the air so that the air that reaches our lungs is actually filtered and the mucus moistens it. So it actually takes practice in order to be able to do nostril breathing. But if you know people who are breathing through their mouth in just regular day-to-day conversations, you want to encourage them to take a look at what they're doing and whether or not they would benefit from retraining themselves. Sometimes people have a deviated septum and they don't know it, and so it's harder for them to breathe through their nose, and so they breathe through their mouth. But what happens is you get a very anxious person. Frequently, if I'm working with a coaching client and I notice mouth breathing, I point it out to them right away, because firstly, they're usually coming in because they're suffering from some sort of stress or anxiety. And when you talk to them, they sound like this, and they're talking a few minutes and gasping for breath, and then they're telling me about what they had for lunch and how stressful that was, and they just keep gasping. Hold on one second. They're hyperventilating. I had to let my own air out because I was about to hyperventilate myself. When people breathe through their mouth, they often sound like they're gasping for air. This speeds up their nervous system, getting their sympathetic nervous system activated. It also forces them to take a shallow breath. You can't breathe through your mouth and take a full, deep belly breath. And so what happens is you get air that's cold, air that's unfiltered, and air that only reaches the upper half of our lungs and creates a stressful response within people. So I encourage people to practice keeping their mouth closed and breathing in and out through their nose, especially if they are mouth breathers. This also can lead us to things like issues with sleep apnea, if they get used to breathing through their mouth, not their nose at night. And then also people are at a hazard for choking on their food, because people who get used to breathing through their mouth, if they're chewing their food and they're needing to take in air at the same time because they're not used to using their nose, are in danger for getting a piece of food stuck in their throat. So there's many benefits to making sure that we breathe through our nose as much as we can, unless there's something naturally happening like running or exercise where you can keep your mouth closed to calm your breath, but otherwise you want to try to breathe through your nose. It also slows down your breathing because it takes a lot longer to take a full breath in with your nose. So that's the first breathing basic. Let's go on to the second one.